Was that super staticky to any of you guys?
No,
Nope.
it sounded great. It was just
No,
long.
that's a banger.
Okay.
A new theme.
Just to make
Tune.
sure it's just my headphone then that it was super staticky on that. Yeah, no, thank you for Alphadeus, Destructoid community member, made that for us.
He's a good dude.
He is a good dude.
Alphadeus.
And he's
Very talented.
stupid talented, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we asked for that on a Tuesday, and he got us back 3 different versions of it on Wednesday. Like, he just quickly turned that shit around. So, puts all my music to shame. Anyways, we are your host. I'm CJ.
I'm Chris.
I'm Dan.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Occams.
And this is episode 428. Welcome back, everyone. We are 12 days into 2020, and boy, does this year suck already. Well, 2019 sucked. Why shouldn't 2020? But we're back.
I can't
and I'm
wait
sure...
to get drafted.
Exactly. You're a Canadian. Where are you going to get drafted into going? You're going to be part of Meghan Markle's protection detail? Is that what's going to happen with you?
We're
The
gonna
Great
be
Moose
human
Wars.
shields.
I don't know if any of you saw a tweet that I put out earlier today, but it was front page news here in Britain today that Elton John knew that she was leaving the country before she told the Queen. That was a front page headline.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but there's nothing going on in Britain.
There's nothing going on in Britain at all. No, that is the most important thing. It's
I mean,
almost as if royal scandals coincide perfectly with everyone needing to look in another direction.
I mean, if I was leaving the country, my grandmother-in-law would hardly be high up on my list of priorities of people to tell. I probably would tell Elton John before I told my grandmother-in-law, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably also leave the country if everyone in that country was racist as fuck.
And the Queen has been very busy breastfeeding the lizard snake babies that she's been making for the past 80 years.
I read it in News of the World, so it must be true.
There you go.
So yeah, apparently that was like the top 4 trending topics for me when I logged on the Twitter yesterday, and I just had to shut down. Couldn't take it.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year indeed. But hopefully this is going to be a great year for Podtoid. Last year was very fun. It was very a learning experience for us, a lot of building, and I hope that we can continue to build upon that. And this year is going to have a lot of great games to talk about that I'll completely ignore when I'm playing Animal Crossing Switch and nothing else for 7 months. But yeah, I look forward to 2020. But before we get into anything, I just want to know how did you guys spend your hiatus? How'd you guys do this past? Was it 3 or 4 weeks that we were out?
It was a long time. So, like, I split my Christmas between Germany and England, and I had a birthday as well. And my shower broke. So, literally on my birthday, I was dealing with plumbers and landlords and all this stressful nonsense. So, yeah, I agree with that sentiment that 2020 already sucks. So, yeah.
Well, happy belated birthday. I don't know if I wished you it on
Thank
Twitter
you.
or not. I don't pay attention to birthdays too much.
Yeah, it's not a great time to have a birthday, to be honest. Like, I haven't properly celebrated my birthday since I was about 10, because everybody, like, when you're a kid and everybody has like birthday parties, invites people, it's like nobody wants to do anything straight after Christmas, and never mind, give this kid that they barely know a present. So it's kind of anticlimactic having your birthday at this time of year. But to be honest, I quite appreciate having a quiet birthday anyway. So I've just relaxed a lot and not really done anything, which has been great. So
my dad's birthday is December 30th, so I bet
Yeah.
he knows how it feels to have it just be so close to Christmas and New Year's that it's just like, what the fucking point?
Yeah, I mean, my family already at the age of 10 were pulling the whole, but you've just had Christmas. Is it okay if we combine your presents? I'm like, no, stop being cheap. I'm writing down names, you motherfuckers. Seriously. Give me the more presents. Oh my God. Yeah, but nah. I don't know. I was born 365 days ago, kind of arbitrary measurement anyway. So
Is your shower at least fixed?
yeah, it was kind of disturbing that the plumber just went downstairs and was like, I have to fetch a machine. I was like, oh my God, what have we done to our shower? But it was still fixed within like half an hour. So we're just apparently gross bastards, and the pipes just got gross. So yeah, but now it's not gross. So that's good.
I got stabbed in the dick.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
And it funnily enough, it wasn't a comfortable experience.
What? Hold the presses. Wait a second. Getting stabbed in the dick was not comfortable?
No. And it gets better. I had the option of not being awake for it, and I chose to be awake for it.
I mean, some men pay for that sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah. I don't know if they go as far as this group of 6 went with their butcher's tools, but yeah, it wasn't a very pleasant experience. Even less pleasant than the one the year before where I had a camera inserted into my anus. But what's done is done. I got to chat to a nurse about Predator for the Atari ST while the procedure was going on. So there was that. It was apparently her favourite video game, so we talked about that. And that was done. And since then, I've had a string of new problems come along. So a resounding success. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
That's all right. It's fine. It's not fine. But hey, if you can't laugh at groinal surgery, what can you laugh at?
One of my bucket list goals in life is to stay awake for a colonoscopy.
Yeah, I did
and
that.
just act like I'm a really, really good power bottom the whole time.
Right. I just I had this gas, and when I had mine, and I inhaled too much of it because I didn't know how it works. They were like, "There's this pipe, and if something hurts, you just like inhale this gas." And I just was like, "Well, a lot or a little?" And I almost started flying. It was crazy. I was tethered to the ground by the yeah. But so you could probably put on quite a scene if you wanted to. But yeah, so I was talking about video games during that as well. I remember I was talking about Microcosm, which was literally a game where you float around like inside someone's colon. So basically retro games and medical procedures go hand in hand, it seems.
Where does the retro cut off? Where is the retro cut off for that?
Probably 1992, I think.
All right. Okay. Good to know.
I guess it depends on how old the nursing and doctoral staff are.
Yeah. So, did you play Candy Crush? Yeah. But no, I did that, and then it was Christmas, and I went in again a couple of times, and no one should worry about me. It seems like I'm doing this thing where I'm being oh so brave or whatever. Like, no one should worry about me. I'm just. It is what basically my whole life's revolved around for kind of the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I've not got much else to talk about. So I'll bring it up. Plus, you all know I like to have people feeling sorry for me. It's a character trait of mine, not an admirable one, but
I mean it's really rough. Just I've had a few health problems. It's nothing major, but where the idea of going into hospital has come up and it's freaked me out. So you're being very, very brave and very courageous.
I really appreciate that. There are people who kind of have got much worse things going on, and I try and keep everything in perspective. Do you know what I mean? But I don't like hospitals. I don't like being ill. I don't even like I don't like going into hospital. I think the reason I stay awake for these things is because that way I at least have the control of knowing what's happening. And I think that's why I choose to kind of stay awake when I can. But I don't
high on balls on gas.
Yeah, I don't think people should though. Like, don't do if people give you the option to like have general anesthetic for anything, I think you should take it, to be honest. But Occams, how was your Christmas?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think no dick stabbing.
Okay. That's the new bar.
Yeah, that's good. We'll start that at mid-level. What did I do? A lot of naps. Ate too much. Watched Star Wars.
As people might have heard.
Yeah.
Special episode.
Yeah. It's fine. Yeah, just hung out. I played the Jedi Fallen Order for a minute. That was the thing. I'm trying. It's like just one of those things. It was like 4 weeks, and you try. What did you do? And look the number of hours that is. Like God, I must have done something. And then you can just no, I didn't really think of anything I did. Yeah, it was fine. Just Christmas break. Nice not being at work.
Yeah, you work in academia, right? So
I do. Yeah.
Does that mean you basically get the same like time off that like students get?
Not quite as much, no. But it is a healthy chunk of time for sure.
Right.
Lucky. I had to be at work right after Christmas.
Yeah, no, it is. Academics, we don't get paid a lot of money, but some of the fringe benefits are quite pleasant. That being one of them. And and I did that thing over the break that my body wants to do. I fear for when I retire is that like, I try to have like a somewhat normal sleep schedule and like go to bed, wake up, got to, go to a job. But over the break, I sort of become like I'm 18 again. And it's like, I'm going to stay up till 5 a.m. and I'm going to get up at like, 9 or 10 and just go really hard for like 3 hours, then just crash immediately. And just I get all kinds of fucked up. I'm just going to become a vampire basically.
Anytime I try and do anything like that, I always just end up falling asleep like really early. Like I'm like, tonight's the night that I marathon 10 movies, and then like it's midnight and it's time to get to bed. I think.
Yeah, you know what helps you stay up really late?
Hard drugs. I don't know.
I was say dick surgery. The pain from dick surgery. No, whiskey, because even though technically alcohol is a depressant, I find that a few drinks in, I'm wide awake. And then a few drinks after that, I'm not so wide awake. But it definitely helps.
There's like a sweet spot, is there? Like,
oh yeah, always. Yeah.
Well, I've read that alcohol is not actually something that you should take if you're trying to fall asleep. That it actually inhibits that.
Yeah, it'll fuck with your sleep parts.
Sleep cycles.
Ugh, God, we get it. You went to school. Congrats.
I had to deal with massive snowstorms in the south that people got angry at us for at my real job. That was the day after Christmas. I was brought in at 3 a.m. to cover that. Worked 24 hours and 48 hours. That was not fun. Saw some movies. I went and saw Little Women last night. It's a very beautiful film. I saw Knives Out. It's a great film. I saw Star Wars, obviously. I think 1917 is coming to our theater next week, so I'm excited about that. And, I've been trying to play some games. I played a little bit of Silver Falls 3 Down Stars, but the game unfortunately launched broken. It was like apparently an older version of the game that got uploaded into the 3DS eShop that doesn't exactly work. So they're updating it right now, so I'm just waiting for that. And then I also played Alien Isolation on Switch, which I'll briefly discuss a little bit later. But it was mostly, my week was mostly, or my break was mostly quiet, except for this 48 hour period of just bullshit snowstorm problems. And it's going to happen again this week because we have 2 major storms dropping at least 2 feet of snow coming this week. So yay! Dan, how was your break?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Catholic Italian families, they all get together around Christmas, so that's my cue to find a room that is quiet, nobody around, take a bottle of rum and some Elfcom eggnog, get that going, and play some Switch and pretend to not hear the arguing about politics in the other room.
Yeah, I guess that's the best thing about not going home for any holiday is I don't have to hear any of that. Although I will be taking a family vacation to Disney World this summer, and I'm sure it'll be brought up. So
it's cool that you go to Disney World, though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's something like our families wanted to do for a while, and it's probably going to be the only family vacation that has me, my parents, my brother, and his family all going together. So yeah, just thought we'd do it. Thought we'd do it one time, and then from here on out, I'm just going to take vacations by myself. Go to Ireland. Use my passport and my money to do what I want.
And as long as if you come that close, then maybe you and I could meet up. Unless by the time you get here, our country's fallen apart in the brink of civil war.
I was going to say by the time I get there, there's probably going to be a 10-day waiting period to cross over the Northern Ireland border.
Yeah. And Dan, I like that you avoided the politics there, because one of the things I do appreciate about you is the fact that the only politics you're interested in are WWE backstage.
Hell yeah! Speaking of which, Wrestle Kingdom was 2 days this year. Unfortunately, there was no cool booking like getting your dick stabbed over the 48-hour period. So I don't know what promotion Moise is in, but damn.
Death match, that's me. Yeah. Hospital death match.
Well, it's nice to know that at least 4 of us had a good break and didn't get stabbed in our private parts, but sorry to the one who did.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I would not recommend it.
No,
not on the list of things to do when I go to Europe.
Doesn't go over.
If they tell you that you should have it done, yeah, but I wouldn't. When they say, "Do you want to be conscious and aware of what's happening?" Don't go, "Yes, please."
It's not the good shit that Vince likes.
No, it's not.
All right. Before we get into the show, and we do have a good show for you today, we're going to go over some of the results of the listener feedback survey we did this month. I just wanted to start off the year the right way with a quick edition of Crap Criminals. You've been hit by a crap criminal. And so there were a lot of dumb criminals over the past 3 weeks. I read about a guy who broke into a Taco Bell, made some food, and then took a nap. There was a guy who tried to rob a tire shop but was thwarted by tires falling on him. That's
that just makes me happy.
Did they get like Bluto in Popeye? Did they get stuck around it? And then someone came in and just repeatedly punched him in the face while he could do nothing about it.
I figured that he decided to rob the one tire shop that had the tire from the movie Rubber in it that was just attacking him.
All right, yeah.
And then there was also a woman who was wearing an FBI hat who walked into a gas station and told the clerk she works for the CIA. Not a very bright bulb there.
Oh, no.
But we're going to start this off with some absolute winners of human beings, focused on 2 men out of Mississippi. So as you guys know, winning the lottery can be a life-changing experience for people. It can take you from rags to riches, and plenty of people say they know the trick for winning the jackpot. Some people pray for the right numbers. Some people create algorithms. But others, like Otis Latham and Russell Sparks from Columbus, Mississippi, have an absolute foolproof method. They just pick the winning numbers. And it's just that easy. And as they recently discovered, when they won a $100,000 jackpot, and they knew that they had the winning numbers right away because they glued them onto the ticket themselves. Don't know why they thought they would get away with this, but the 2 men submitted a fake winning ticket with numbers cut out and glued onto the ticket that they submitted to the Mississippi State Lottery Commission. How dumb did they think that this commission was, that they would not be able to see that?
It reminds me of, I guess I was in 3rd grade, and I got an F on a math test, which would set the course of my life going forward.
Says the guy who works in academia.
Well, not all academics have to know math, thank God. I'd be a hell of a janitor otherwise. So with the school I went to, you had to get your parents to sign every failed test you had. I guess so they knew you were a terrible student. And I had the brilliant idea of forging both my parents' signature. One slight flaw to this genius plan is that I used red crayon. So if it hadn't been for that, I'd have gotten away with it.
I once forged my mom's signature on a permission slip to ride the bus with a friend home to his house. And I was thwarted by the fact that I had the handwriting of a 6th grader. Surprisingly, they saw right through that when it looked like someone who was in the 6th grade signed for a 35-year-old.
I don't know what it was like for Charlotte when you were growing up here in Britain, but when I was at school, none of that stuff really mattered. You didn't have to have your report signed, or you didn't have to have. Sometimes you had permission slips for some trips, but there was very much a lot of just they expected you to just go home and tell your parents how well you were doing. And there was a parents' evening where they'd come along, parent-teacher council or whatever you want to call it. But you didn't really have to sign anything, or you didn't have a grade sheet to take home or anything like that. So you could get away with a lot of stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, I never got a detention because I was a girly swat, as Boris Johnson would say. I I don't know how I managed it, but it kind of goes to explain why I'm conflict avoidant now, I guess.
Parent-teacher conferences for me and my brother were like the episode of The Simpsons where they go to Lisa's and Bart's and they argue over who gets to go to Lisa's. I was the Lisa. They did not want to go to my brother's parent-teacher conference. As for these two guys, they were obviously arrested and they're facing multiple charges, including fraud and something called uttering counterfeit instrument over $1,000. I don't know what that is.
That's like, look, when you hear the first time you hear the term carnal knowledge of a juvenile, and you're just kind of going through your head like, well, there's a law for sodomy, and there's like, sex and stuff. What the hell's and then you try to figure it out. So
yeah. I will have to put my investigation hat on and figure out what that is.
I just think carne asada, which I don't think is entirely different from what it actually is. So.
All right, that has been Crap Criminals.
You've been hit by a crap criminal.
I figured that was a good way to start the show. I mean, it was between that story or this just stupid article I read about this dumbass who uses a Mac to play games. Oh, no. What an idiot.
Oh my God. What a fucking moron. I hope he dies.
Like I had the fortune of proofing that article, and I sent CJ a note that just said like, there's nothing wrong with this article, but people are going to love the opportunity to be like, time to tell you how Macs and PCs work. And you know what? They did.
Like, I expected, responses of, oh, that sucks, to this is why you should never game with a Mac. And fine, that's okay. I bring that shit on. I'm fine to hear it. I know that Macs are not a great way to play computer games. This is why I barely did it. But it seemed like I just unleashed this visceral hatred in people by the sheer fact that I just had a Mac that I played games with. It's like reading the headline infected them with the rage virus from 28 Days Later, and they just had to go after it.
For every Mac kind of loyalist and Apple, or I should say Apple loyalist, there's also people that are so extremely anti-Apple to a point where they're just as bad and toxic in many ways. So I think you kind of unleashed those folks.
These people need a fucking hobby that involves uttering themselves and going outside. It's ridiculous.
I think this all could have been fixed if I just tweaked the headline to this.
I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt.
I think that would have smoothed things over, and people would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, no, he's being upfront and honest with us right now. And in conclusion on that story, I ended that little piece saying I should get a gaming PC. Now I don't know if I want to associate with gaming PC people, because that was a little extreme of a reaction. But I probably will anyways, because I don't want to buy an Xbox Series X.
Just buy the thing you want to buy and ignore all the stupid, inane fucking comments. Yeah. That's what I've done most of my life.
Or I can lean into it and just write nothing but Apple computer gaming articles from now on and just keep bringing those people in.
Well, then you'd be Jed.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to avoid that.
Yeah, I know.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to talk about see what we've been playing this over the past few weeks or so. We're going to start with Charlotte. You've been digging into Yakuza 0.
For the interest of time, and also because this is potentially a cane and rinse thing, I'm not going to go into too much detail except for to say it's fantastic. I just spent an entire weekend doing the Cabaret Club B-plot, just the B-plot. I literally left Makoto in a warehouse somewhere and went off and became king of the night or something. So as Goro, of course. So it's just any game that sucks me into the B-plot has to be good, because I usually don't like filler. And it's just the story is really simple. It's so easy to follow and yet so compelling. It's really like a proper crime thriller. And yeah, Goro Majima is great in this game. He's completely off the wall, yet also the calmest you'll have ever seen him in the entire series. So yeah, it's I think this is going to be one of my favorite games on the PS4, to be honest, when I'm done with it. But whether I have any further criticisms or not by the time I'm actually finished with it, we'll see. But every time I think that something bad's going to come around the corner, in the sense of, oh no, I'm going to have to do this type of fight again. I only just did that half an hour ago. This is too much filler. It's over in 5 minutes. There's no boring repetition or, the sense that it's losing direction at any point. It's just lean and compelling, and just I think probably going to be one of my favorite games.
Have you played other games in the Yakuza series?
Yes, I started Yakuza Kiwami. Didn't like that. To be honest, I fell off that pretty fast. I wasn't too interested in how it unfolded. It just felt quite boring at the beginning. But I think now that I've played 0, it'll be easier to go back into that. And I've played 5, quite a big chunk of 5 as well. I think up to halfway through. So just after that tall guy gets out of the woods, I don't know how to describe it. Basically, the guy who's in prison and then he's out of prison. So I think maybe 10 hours in. And I actually got lost on the B plot stuff there as well, because I just played taxi driver missions as for like 5 hours or something. So yeah, I've got a mixed background with the series, in the sense of I thought that 1 Kiwami was not so interesting, and I thought 5 was pretty interesting, but there was certain, like the Kiryu stuff was great, but when it swapped to a different character, I lost interest.
Right.
Playing as Kiryu or as Goro, both are excellent.
0 is basically the game that really brought the franchise kind of out more into the mainstream. Really, it's amazing that it took that long for it to happen. But it's kind of cool that they've made all these kind of remakes so people can play them in this strange order. Because for so many people, 0 was their first Yakuza title, and so it was really strange that even though that came down the line as a prequel, it was so big that it meant people then went on to play the remakes after that and kind of played the games in chronological order as the story goes, even though that's not the order the games were released, which is kind of really ironic, I thought. But in terms of what you were saying about how well they're written, I think those games have 2 and 3. There are scenes in 2 and 3, as in some of the dialogue scenes and the cut scenes, that are just they're as good as anything that Kinji Fukasaku, who made this series of films, these Battles Beyond Honor and Humanity movies, which is essentially what those games are based on, this series of these films, and they're really dialogue heavy movies about the Yakuza lifestyle. But those games, despite how off the wall they are with their underground palaces and their suplexing tiger scenes, just have these really well written scenes of dramatic dialogue in them that I think kind of rival fucking anything that Metal Gear or whatever, or Resident Evil or whatever have put out. I think some of those Yakuza scenes are just they make amazing movies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell as well because there's no dubbing. It is hard to tell in a language that you don't understand whether the acting's any good or not, but it comes across as actually leagues above anything in the Metal Gear series. It just comes across as fantastic acting within a game. So it's I've been really enjoying doing the B plot stuff, but I've got to a section now where I'm just doing main storyline and getting through a chapter every half hour because I'm just rushing through it because it's the story has picked up pace. And it's just basically like watching a fantastic film with bits of action in the middle. It's can't beat it really.
For my part, the game that it's actually worked for me that I played over this past two or 3 weeks has been Alien Isolation. This is the Switch port, and I never played the original version of this back on, I think it was PS3 and Xbox 360. So this is my first time experiencing it, and this is a game that the creators of it clearly have an appreciation for the source material, not just in how they have created the alien and how it moves and how it acts, how it's, very similar to what it is in the movie, but also the setting really looks like something that would have been in a film in 1979 or whenever the first Alien came out.
Right.
Like you have the character, I pointed this out on Twitter, you have the character in the paisley shirt. That is such a specific, a time specific reference that I absolutely adore it. And the corridors, these space stations, they absolutely look like what Ridley Scott would have made if he would have made this as a sequel. It is just so fucking brilliant in the art direction and set design of this game that even though I am terrified of it, I have been enjoying every goddamn minute going through it. I've read that there is like a fraction of a second of a delay with your controls and what happens on screen. I haven't noticed that whatsoever. So, if you have been keeping yourself from buying this because of that, I just want to get it out there that I haven't experienced that whatsoever. But I've come to find over the past month or so that there are games for my Switch that I will play strictly in handheld mode because to me they're more handheld games. Fire Emblem Three Houses is something I pretty much play exclusively in handheld. This one, it's just so brilliant. It pops right on my big screen. I can't stomach playing it on the smaller screen because it just deserves to be seen on my television. So this is a great game. If you haven't played it already and you own a Switch, I would highly suggest getting it. I'll probably do a more proper write-up on it within a week or so, but goddamn, this has been just one fantastic game.
I really wished out a physical version, though.
Yeah, this thing has all of the DLC, which I'm very appreciative of. No, that's weird. Appreciative of? That's not a word. That's not two words. I don't know what I'm saying. Because, they could have easily left that out. But it's in there, and yeah, I wish there was a physical version. Maybe there will be a limited run physical version, as they seem to be slowly growing into one of the biggest publishers for Switch at this point. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. All right, and let's go ahead and wrap this up with Occams. Occams, what is Jack Chick history of creation?
Well, I'm glad you asked, CJ.
Mm-hmm.
So, are y'all familiar with Jack Chick and Jack Chick Ministries?
Yes. Chick Tracts.
Yeah, Chick Tracts. Okay, so big part of growing up in the southern United States was people handing you religious shit all the time for no good reason. Mm-hmm. And a big part of my childhood was being handed these things called Chick Tracts, named after the titular creator, Jack Chick. He would draw these insane cartoons, about 250 of them total, that were like the reason, if you don't believe in God, you'll go to hell, and creationism is real, and homosexuality is the sin, witchcraft is real, Dungeons and Dragons is bad. You get the gist. It's the kind of thing where if you went to a church that didn't allow women to wear pants, that was kind of his shtick. And I love them. The art is really unique. It's very cartoonish but fun. He has a really fun way of drawing people burning and in agony. He's really good at that. And I have kept a lot of these from my childhood. They're actually fairly collectible. If you Google Jack Chick or look them up on the eBay or something, you can find some of the original ones go for quite a bit of cash. So I was at the Goodwill last week, and I found this DVD called Jesus Christ, The Light of the World, put in by Jack Chick Productions. And I'm going to read you some of the back here. Here's the whole story, the biblical account of the creation of man, the entrance of sin into the world, and why Jesus Christ came to earth, using over 360 breathtaking oil paintings, which I would literally re-kill my already dead grandmother to get a hold of some of these, that will take you on an unforgettable journey. So the gist of this is you see these oil paintings that Jack Chick painted, and a narrator who sounds really sweet like a grandfather until he gets to the bit about sin, and then he sounds like he wants to fuck you to death a little bit. It's him describing the creation of the world and how it's all going to end. Some of the highlights, I counted maybe, what was it, like nine paintings that featured dead babies in different states of dismemberment. Shout out to the abortion one. Big fan of that one. lots of people with melting skin as they burn in the lake of fire. That one made me real happy. And just basically, it's interesting that mostly like the people who were saved when they were drawn were white, but all the people on the road to hell were black, brown, all shades of not white. This thing is kind of made my weird pop culture toes curl. It's amazing. And I'm actually looking at the Wikipedia page for Chick Tracts because Jack died a few years back and went on to his his great reward. Okay, so the company estimates it has printed over 800 million of these. Tracts, by the way, are like little mini booklets essentially. 800 million of these in the first 50 years of business, and it's a worldwide thing. Yeah, they've been going on since like the 60s. It's great stuff. If you like apocalypse art, like the Forest from the Apocalypse, not the Darksiders version, though that is quite wonderful, but like, the old Fire and Brimstone style, just look up Jack Chick sometime and see what there is to see. It's a wonderful thing, truly wonderful.
Just know, if you've never seen these before, they're some of the most homophobic things ever created.
Oh yeah. Like he just straight up
crazy homophobic.
Like hates gay people. It's like, and gay homosexuality. It's one of those things to where everything is created by demons, like all of it. Yeah. Actually, there's a panel from the Dungeons and Dragons is Evil track I might get a tattoo of because it's like this scrunched like troll faced little blonde girl in pigtails, and she's like, I cast a mind warp spell on my father to let me play D&D. It's great shit. But yeah, hates gay people. AIDS is a pestilence sent by God. To punish gay people, that kind of shtick. It's so much fun. And also, I play a Jedi Fallen Order, but I got really bored and stopped playing it.
I was introduced to Chick Tracts. I think E-Bombs World is where I was first. If anyone remembers that.
Wow.
Wow.
Going old school. That's where they
good old stolen content.
Yeah. That's where they were first introduced to me, and I was like, wow, these are crazy offensive. I bet they're super popular in Uganda.
This is Podtoid.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to Dan's game. Dan, you introduced this on the last regular episode of Podtoid last year. I hope you prepared something because I didn't discuss this with you beforehand. But
I did.
And just remind us, what is this game?
What year it was written?
Okay.
This time I'm going to have 3 different topics of discussion across of years past from various places. Unfortunately, I don't have a cool theme, but I could whip up something in like Beta Raider on PSP or something and like export that. Really, just set the tone and age of everything. But anyways, the first topic of note is from an issue of Nintendo Power, and it's from the Reader Mail titled DS equals dating service. I recently purchased a Nintendo DS, a copy of Sprung. I originally bought the game because I needed some lessons on what to say or do for a girl. To make a long story short, I developed a fear that all pretty girls are already paired up with a boyfriend. I've dubbed this social phobia Know-it-phobia? I'm not sure how you pronounce this phobia. Anyways, after the Spanish word for boyfriend. Anyway, before Sprung, I was afraid to approach most women. FYI, I'm a 22-year-old. I tried silently attracting a boyfriend-free girl, mostly with signs, for over a year and 4 months. Then Sprung provided me with general things to say and do, so I felt more confident. When I tried my newfound expression from the dating simulator, I forgot my fear of the infinitely high boyfriend factor, and I met a couple of lady friends with them, who I feel more comfortable with. So thank you, Nintendo and Ubisoft, for this dating advice this frustrated virgin needed. Christian Chandler. So I asked, what year was it written?
Well, it's the DS. Nintendo Power was still in print.
Yeah, I know Sprung came out mid-2000s. I remember having it in the shop. So I'm going to go 2005, bang on.
I'm going 06.
I'm going to go with 2007.
Price is Right, 2003.
Unfortunately, you are all wrong, but close. 2004.
Oh.
See, you went too far in your prices right there, Occams.
Hang on, did you say it was a DS game?
Yeah, a game called Sprung from Ubisoft. It's some sort of dating simulator.
When did the DS come out? I thought the DS came out in 2006.
2004.
No, the Wii came out in 2006.
Yeah, there was the big fat DS that came out originally in 04.
Yeah.
And Nintendo
Okay.
was like, yeah, this is separate from the Game Boy. We'll keep making Game Boy stuff, and then that didn't happen.
Yeah, they've done that throughout their entire history. Oh yeah, we'll definitely keep supporting the Wii U now that the Switch is out. Trust us. Okay, so we all failed that one. What's the next quote?
The next one is a Usenet post, simply titled, Diablo or Daggerfall? I am in dilemma. Which should I buy? From George J. Hewer. The thread continued on with a lot of different requests. Being like, just, download the demos and try it for yourself. And then as the thread died, roughly about 2 weeks later, a user whose email I won't read out here in case, God forbid, he's still using it or something, titled Todd Howard. He wrote, hold off to the end of the year and buy Redguard, all capitalized, the new Elder Scrolls adventure game. He revived a post that was long dead for about 2 weeks to tell him to buy Redguard. Anyway, so I asked, what year was it written?
What the hell is Redguard?
It was a weird Elder Scrolls spin-off action-adventure game.
See, this is why I'm not a PC gamer.
Diablo came out in 97, and with the last question, I kind of tried to put a buffer in there, but I'm just going to go straight with 97.
I'm going to say that this person waited so long, it's going to be 2001.
I'm going to go bang in the middle because I remember seeing Diablo in HMV around about the time my sister was born, and that was in 1999. So I'm going to go with 1999.
Price is Right, 96.
And Moyes takes it with 97.
Oh no, now I've had one right answer and Chris has had one right answer. I'm no longer the victorious one. I've got to...
It's a tie.
We'll need to whip up a title belt.
Yeah.
The final topic. This one is a little different. This is from a review from GameSpot for the game Alien Resurrection. Now, I'm going to take a specific little segment of this review that I always find pretty hilarious. So he goes into his review about Alien Resurrection, and he brings up the controls. And to quote this review, the game's control setup is its most terrifying element. The left analog stick moves you forward, back, and strafes right and left, while the right analog stick turns you and to be used to look up and down and aim. Truly horrifying. So I asked, what year was it written?
When did Alien Resurrection come out? 94.
I can't remember whether it came out with the film or whether it was later. And I can't even remember when the film was. I got 98. I think it's on the PlayStation 1, isn't it? I think.
That is correct, yes. I should preface, it is a PlayStation 1 game.
That's how I'm going to go with 98.
I'm going to go with 2000.
Price is Right, 93.
I don't think the PlayStation was out in 93.
Price is Right, 93.
Charlotte continues to lead with 2000.
Yes.
What?
I mean, analog
it's a
sticks.
super
Analog
late
sticks
game.
weren't 94.
Yeah, she
To be fair, I didn't know that this was
DualShock
PlayStation
control.
until after I gave my answer. So,
But I always loved that quote because it's the generic setup now for every shooter imaginable on consoles, and this dude just wasn't having any of it in 2000.
Occams,
Yo.
did you have a favourite Price is Right game? You know, of all those little games they played. I'm thinking of the right show, aren't I?
Yeah, you absolutely are. Ooh, I was a big fan of Plinko.
everyone loves Plinko.
Everyone loves Plinko. I really wanted one of those discs. That was fun. I like the one where you punch the hole out, the honeycomb, whatever. Kick the shit out of the bee game, whatever that is. And the one where it's the little yodeling man going up the mountain, but he could fall off.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. Top 3.
Is that one? Yeah.
So I'm not sure how we should keep the scoring as a continuing scoring system as we keep going. So now Charlotte's in the lead, I guess, with 2 right answers, or if we should just go on a per game
it's
basis.
your
I'm
game.
not sure. I'll figure it out at some point. Whip up title belt. I'll start a Beaterator on the PSP. I'll get a theme made for it.
You are listening to Podtoid.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Let's go ahead and quickly get into the news. And it's mostly been a quiet beginning to the year of the industry, but this week we started to really get into the kick of things for 2020. Nintendo broadcast its first Nintendo Direct of the year, and it was centered around Pokemon, and they really stretched it out for 4 short announcements into a 20-minute presentation. The big news out of the Direct was Pokemon Sword and Shield are getting expansion passes rather than Game Freak creating a third version or semi-sequels as it has done in the past. Unfortunately, the way it was worded was weird. Basically, to hopefully clear up confusions, each version of the latest Pokemon games will receive their own expansion pass for $29.99, and those expansion passes will provide access to the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra, which will feature many returning Pokemon and new rivals depending on which version you own. I have Sword, so I get the Poison. I think her name is Clara, I want to say. Whereas Shield gets the top hat wearing Psychic new rival. I like both their designs. You can also get a Slowpoke, I believe, if you log in right now and update your game. There's also going to be returning legendaries and a new Gigantamax forms, including Inteleon with a gun, which basically became the meme out of that presentation. I have seen that across all different social media platforms of everyone making him into a new sniper or something. So that's fun.
Yeah, somebody who's rocking an Inteleon, I'm pretty stoked.
I think I have the score money, and I think he's just standing on top, and that's not even the right. I can't remember what the final name of that evolution is, but he's just like standing on top of a giant soccer ball that's on fire. In addition to the expansion passes, it was announced Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team, Red Rescue Team, and Blue Rescue Team are being remade as Rescue Team DX for the Switch. That game comes out at the very beginning of March. Pokemon Home, which is the successor to Pokemon Bank, was also revealed to be launching next month, but we're going to have to wait for more details on that. You know, as with everything that has been with Pokemon over the past several months, it was like a lot of negativity around this and a lot of people like, no, this is actually a good thing. I kind of like the idea of not having to buy a third version for full price, $30 for an expansion pass, 200 more Pokemon. That works for me.
Like, I agree to the whole, like, this is way better than a third game and paying $30 and all that, but paying $30 for like 2 more wild areas to explore, at least that's what I assume they are, doesn't sound that appealing to me. I don't know. I'm kind of soured on the wild area, but that's
yeah. And then our second story of the week has to do with Microsoft and Sony. This week, Microsoft announced that its first-party Xbox Series X games will also be playable on Xbox One consoles. Halo Infinite, which will debut alongside the launch of Xbox Series X, will be playable on both consoles as well as PC. Obviously, the game will look better on the Xbox Series X, but for those who don't upgrade right away, they won't be left out of the new games. On the other side of the coin is Sony and its PlayStation 5. We still don't know a lot about the console, but it appears, according to Jason Schreier of Kotaku, to be taking a somewhat different approach than Microsoft. During a recent episode of Killscreen, Schreier mentioned there will be PlayStation 5 exclusive titles at launch. That is not to say that all titles launching on the PlayStation 5 will be exclusive to the console. There will still be cross-gen titles, and he specifically mentioned the upcoming Viking-themed Assassin's Creed game will most likely be playable along our current console generation and the next, which makes sense because Assassin's Creed usually does not jump right away to the next console. They usually have that interim year where everything's playable on whatever it is they support. So neither of these developments are surprising to me. Sony is a clear-cut winner of this generation, and making exclusive titles for its next console is something you do when you're on top. Microsoft was a distant second this generation and has spent the last year building up goodwill with players. We do know backward compatibility will be a big feature of the Xbox Series X, but I wonder if this move about making all of its first-party games playable across both generations of console for the first few years it has to do anything with what the Series X is going to cost. Like, is this just going to be a stupid, expensive console, and Microsoft is taking this route to make sure that to keep fans from jumping to a possibly cheaper PS5?
Possibly, but they could also just be going back to the tried and true formula of just selling consoles at a loss and making that money back essentially with game sales and software sales and whatnot, but I'm not sure.
I imagine they're going to be doing that, but
yeah. But like even more so than usual. Like I'm talking like PlayStation 3 tier of like, yeah, we were losing hundreds of dollars per console on this kind of thing. So that's the impression I'm getting, because the specs are nuts in that system, and I can't see it being cheaper than, just when I kind of did the math in my head, like real basic math, like cheaper than $600, which is, man, if they go for that $599 thing again. Oh.
I would be shocked if they got it down to $399, which is kind of where I thought, it is kind of the tipping point on where you want your highest price, or where you want your console to launch at, is $400. But like you said, those specs are crazy, and it wouldn't be surprising if they did $500, $600.
Yeah. That said, I am excited that this feels like an actual jump again, because if there's any criticism I have with the PS4 and the Xbox One, was the fact that they were like right out of the gate already outdated in terms of PC stuff.
Well, the big jump for the PlayStation was making it much easier to develop for than the PlayStation 3. Like, if anything,
yeah,
Sony needed to do is to make it more developer friendly, because they did not do that last generation.
I think releasing the PlayStation 5 as $599 might actually go down a bit better now than it did back in the day, because we sort of associate gaming with a more high-end experience now anyway. Like, people talk about buying brand new TVs to play in 4K, or soon it'll be in 8K. So I feel like for a lot of people that will be an investment that will be more worth it. Whereas back in PS3, it was like we were making the switch from I always get component and composite mixed up, but we're making the switch from that to HDMI, and that was like where we were at with high-tech sort of. We sort of treat a console more like a high-end piece of equipment now, I think. So I think a lot of people would kick up a fuss, but less than before.
I agree. I think that when the PlayStation 3 launched at that high price, you had a lot of the people who were young when they got their original PlayStation, who were, probably were my age in college, going into college, and that was not an expense that they could reasonably make around that time in their life. And if we're following that timeline, then now hopefully they're again around my age, young professionals, and actually have the type of disposable income that would allow them to purchase a PlayStation 5 day one. All right, finally, real quick, Awesome Games Done Quick wrapped up over the weekend, raising $3.13 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It is the most money raised by the speedrunning charity. I watched a few of the games over the past few days, including the Super Metroid run and the Link to the Past run, which I always enjoy watching. So just a big congratulations to everyone there. That's a lot of money that they've raised, and their next event is going to be Summer Games Done Quick. That will take place this June in Minnesota.
I kind of check out AGDQ and SDGDQ a lot. They're my favorite video game things. I'll take watching those any day of the week over any fucking award show or E3 presentation. Like, fuck those things. But I'll tell you one thing that was really good this year that people should go back and check out on like the VOD. Like, everything's up on VOD now, so you can watch all the runs separately. For the first time ever, like a proper shmup was at AGDQ, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, but it's Mushishimi Samafatari, and this guy just played this bullet hell shmup, and it was so intense. It was like I watch AGDQ every year, but I'm usually kind of really casual on whether people are going to complete the runs or not. I just enjoy watching them, but I was like on the edge of my seat for this one. And then when it was over, the guy who'd like been silent throughout leapt out of his seat and put on a headset and just broke into this like apocalyptic wrestling promo about following your dreams, and it's like, if your family members get in the way, get them out of the way, and if your partner doesn't want to, get rid of them. He's like, you just got to believe in yourself, and you've got to push, and it was like the perfect cap to this really stressful half-hour run on this shmup. So if you only go and watch one VOD, you should kind of watch that. It was insane, and I know the shmup community were really happy that they had a game represented. So you're probably going to see more of them in the future. But no, that was one of the most memorable parts of the whole week, I think.
You are listening to Podtoid.
All right, that is it for the news. And right now, I just wanted to touch on the results of the Podtoid listener survey that we posted last month. We're always doing what we can to make this show better, and after a year of doing it, we thought we should hear from the community on what you like about the show and what you didn't like. And we are taking this feedback seriously. As you heard at the top of the show, we do have a new theme song from Destructoid community member Alphadeus. We actually have a new closing song by them as well. So yeah, we're listening. That is the first of a few changes that'll be coming to the show in the next few weeks. But I just want to talk with you all about the survey results, and I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of each individual response. There was a lot of stuff that was one person would say X, and then some person would say the complete opposite of that. So, there's a bit division on what people do want, but I think we did get some good general takeaways from it. Mostly that everyone loves Occams.
Oh,
everyone loves Occams.
We all love Occams.
We gotta push him. We gotta put him over. He's our guy.
Yeah. So Occams, I'm sorry, you're fired for being more popular than me.
You boy.
when 2K Games release Podtoid 2K21, Occams is going to be the cover athlete for it.
Highest stats, 100.
Followed by a complete decline in performance and popularity immediately after the release.
But the cover is going to be like me hiding out in a Burger King bathroom just eating 50 chicken nuggets.
I would love that game. Honestly, I would just put that on my shelf.
Wasn't that your Christmas card this year?
Yeah, just shame eating. That's a game I know pretty well. Sure.
There was a lot of people who were appreciative of our discussions, and by our discussions, I mean Occam's and Chris's discussions about obscure movies. So you're on the right track there, you guys.
Well, I think I'm pretty sure I said 3 episodes in that's all I actually want this podcast to be about. I don't give a shit about video games.
And then people liked our chemistry. They liked that we bring people with different point of views onto the show. So that was really nice to hear from that. And what they didn't like is people seem to think my sound effects need to get updated, and I agree. The new sound was specifically called out as something that people hated hearing. So I will find a new soundbite for the news.
As a fan of RKO Pictures, I find that highly insulting.
That was my 100% my reference on that was going for RKO. I love the old RKO logo at the beginning of movies.
You know what you should change it to? You should just change it to the British Pathé fanfare that they used to play before propaganda films during World War One. Just change it to that. It's same kind of era, just different side of the planet. Go with that one instead.
Maybe I should just go with the old Hollywood dun 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 dun, and then I deliver the news like this. Shocking update out of PlayStation. They're not gonna have PlayStation 4 games anymore.
You're listening to
Mulatto Dog captures Heart of Nation.
You're listening to the World Service of the BBC.
Honestly, I would listen to a whole podcast that was just this, but video games.
I've always wanted to do that. I would love to have a show that is just nothing but me doing old timey news stories, but talking about current things. I'd love that. I'm going to cancel this podcast and do that instead.
Oldie time, Toyd.
Yes.
Is this the bit where you reveal that basically we've decided off the back of the listener questions to split it into 2 podcasts? You doing that one, and me and Occam's doing a movie one.
Yes, that's
then we can get Alpha to remix them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did get a suggestion to do more than one show a week. That's not going to happen. We had people ask us to do the show was too short, but it takes a long time to edit one of these, and this is not my full-time job, so we're gonna probably keep them around the same length. And then Gus would like us to know there's not enough Gus on the show. And really, when Gus is not on the show, everyone should be asking, "Where's Gus?"
Well, you've just put him on the show there. You've just put him over. So yeah.
Yeah. And then what people would change? There's a call for a guest host, which that may be something we can do if we know in advance someone's not going to be here. It gets really hard to edit, to have a conversation when no one is in the same room and you have more and more and more people on. So, we'll see what we can do on that front. Someone wanted a new theme song, and we gave it to them. And then more segments. So I think Dan's game, that's a good start, and we'll see what else we can add over the next few months. We'll start brainstorming, but you should know that we're listening to you. And finally, what type of games should we cover? By a country mile, people want us to cover more retro games. As you know, Destructoid used to have a Podtoid called Retro Force Go, I believe. And then a few years after it ended, a couple of members tried to restart it with Retroid, but I don't think that made it past a few episodes. So it looks like there are people who want us to delve a little further into retro games, and I think we can find a way to make that happen. Other games that people would like us to cover would be indie games, non-video games like tabletop, obscure games, and then good mobile games, which I'm sure I can muster up somehow.
I'd enjoy covering retro games. I played a lot of them.
Yeah, I was just thinking we could do like a book club style or something. Do we all have Switches?
No.
But I'm willing to be given one.
Yeah, okay, well. They have that like that NES and SNES library thing, and we could just like pick a game each month or something. I don't know.
Oh, I still have all those systems and most of the games, so I'm good.
Let me contact EG, see if they can increase our Switch budget. Let me see if I can get that done. But yeah, so I mean, that was the general takeaway from the survey, and I want to thank everyone who filled it out, even if your first answer was no, I don't listen to Podtoid, and you answered no other questions. You know, we still appreciate it, and we know we're not going to turn this into a political podcast called Pelosi-toid. We got that loud and clear. But yeah, it was nice to hear from people, and it's nice to know that we are at least doing something right.
Absolutely, this is fun.
Even if that thing is just like having Occams on the show, if that's the one thing we're doing right, it's gold. It's gold.
Yeah, I do think that we should try and rename the show like how Diana Ross and the Supremes, instead of just the Supremes, it'll be Occams and the other people you kind of sort of like to listen to. That's the new show name.
Occams and the Podtoid.
The Pod people.
Sounds like a really, really deep cut, like punk band from the 70s.
if this was like the intro to Gilligan's Island, we'd all just be "and the rest."
Oh, just another one of those current references you can only hear on Podtoid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, up to the minute. Look, if there's something I bring to this show, it's fucking contemporary, up to the minute, red hot fucking references.
Just gonna go Google nude pictures of Marianne now.
You have
torn
have your
from
thumb on
today's
the pulse
headline.
of society, Chris.
That's right.
Ugh.
Loud equals funny.
We are just about out of time, but before we go, Occams, do we have a community shout out?
We do. And in the spirit of 2020, the community shout out is to the community. Y'all did a wonderful job ushering in a new year and wishing everyone well. And it's kind of when the year ends and new year begins and everyone has resolutions and what games they played, what games they want to play, what they're excited about, what their fears are, what their concerns. The community does a really great job at sharing all of that, and it makes it feel like a real kind of a natural conversation rather than just a series of posts and things. It's a lot of times you just feel like you're really talking to somebody, which is one of the many reasons I call Destructoid my home. And so shout out to the community. You guys are fucking awesome, and thank y'all for ushering in at which so far in what is this, the 12th day of 2020? It's been a fairly challenging one so far, but y'all have all done well to help each other out, so thank you.
Awesome. And real quick, piggybacking on that, I just want to do a real quick shout out to community user Zalno, who is a fan of Podtoid. So last month, Zalno asked a great question for our community question segment. They asked the question about the Devolver Digital pop-up restaurant, which I thought was a really fun question. And then after the question, they joked that I could say genital jousting. So in an effort to do some comedy, I chose to feign offense at the suggestion, even though I totally went with a genital jousting answer. And apparently I was not a good enough actor to pull that off, because it seems, based on his response to the survey and then a comment that was left on the story, that Zalno really did think I was offended by the comment. So to Zalno, I just want to say there is very little you can do to offend me, especially with gay jokes. I love gay jokes, and I implore you to make them as often as you can, because like after every single show, Charlotte sets a rainbow flag on fire, and if that doesn't offend me, then nothing really will. So
That's true.
I don't.
And then she calls me a dirty faggot.
Wow,
and
she's covering it up.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, so I just want to say, like, keep making those jokes. I am not offended by it. I was in a fraternity, so I've heard and seen it all, literally. And on that note, that is it for this episode of Podtoid. On behalf of Charlotte, Dan, Chris, Occams, and myself, thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, or the Destructoid YouTube channel.